What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wednesday night 9:15 viewing, where everybody must be every week. The All About the Birds weekly report. This is the only draft preview show you need to watch. It's the only time we're doing mock drafts. It's the only time we're doing anything related to previewing the draft. All that matters right here. We're going to do a first-round mock draft. We are going to do an Eagles mock draft. We're going to talk all things draft-related right here on the weekly report. I am Phil Stiefel. We've got Jeff Warner. We've got Johnny Uleka. And we got Chip Keggy. You know, the crew is all here. This is what we do. The offseason all centers around this upcoming weekend for the NFL draft. Real quick, got to shout out our sponsors, Statement Games. It's the newest, funnest, creative way for fantasy sports, and it's free. The link on Facebook and YouTube is there, how to sign up. Free games. They've got an All About the Birds draft show going on, or contest going on, and it's free to enter. Just sign up on the link, and you'll have a lot of fun. They got lots of other great games. I'm starting a new show, The Ultimate Statement. Did the first one this past week. You know, it's going to be YouTube exclusive, so make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Manscaped, AAT Birds, get you 20% off, and it gets you free shipping. As always, Jeff's wife will say, your wives will thank you. And new sponsor, Odds Jam. Basically, it's arbitrage betting. It helps you calculate the odds, how to bet and not lose money. So it's a great site. That's also in the links below. Make sure you click on it and check it out. Great site. Check them out. But, gentlemen, it's the draft. Johnny, this is what you do. Draft. This is your specialty. You got to be excited for this upcoming week.
I am. I'm very excited. So let's get it going.
That really showed your excitement there. Chip,
you know,
are you excited?
I'm most excited for the fact that we have told Johnny that he wasn't allowed to see or do anything up until this show because the three of us had to work on the draft stuff for him to over there to play Mel Kiper Jr.
Absolutely.
I do not appreciate you coming without the hair done, Kiper style.
Oh, yeah, you don't want.
It's gotten grayer, but it hasn't moved in 25 years. Jeff, in my opinion, Jeff, the best part of draft weekend means that after Saturday night, we will not have to see a mock draft posted on Twitter again for another 8 months.
Let's be real. Draft enthusiasts like Johnny will have their 2022 mock draft already the weekend after. Let's be real.
He gave a thumbs up. He definitely has his already.
The two things I hate the most on Twitter are mock drafts and the NBA trade machine. Those are the two worst things that flood Twitter, and it just drives me nuts. Absolutely.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Phil. 53-man roster predictions are up there too.
Oh, that is up there in the top 3 as well. 53-man roster predictions for sure. Absolutely. But let's dive into it. So the assignments this week, Chip did the mock draft up to the Eagles pick at number 8.
Number 12.
Yeah, 12. I know. I'm just kidding. And then Jeff did the mock draft for the whole entire Eagles. So Chip, we're going to start with you. We want to see how you've drafted the first round up to the Eagles pick. And we're all going to – it's obviously going to be centered around Johnny, but me and Jeff are going to pipe in here as well on what you've done. So take it away with your slideshow here.
So here's what you need to know. I had this prepared already, and I was ready to rock and roll. And then the Denver Broncos screwed everything up today.
The Denver Broncos trade today, which, by the way, anybody tuning in that did not see – Teddy Bridgewater they traded for. They gave up a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, nothing. Right.
That was the draft 0, just so you know.
Right, but what it did do is it changed where I thought they were going because I had the Broncos penciled in at quarterback.
They still probably
are
take a quarterback with that.
It caused me to switch things around. So we're getting into it. Again, the rules that I was told were as follows. I am not allowed to trade things left and right.
Nope.
I told the gentleman there will be one trade and one trade only. The Eagles are going back to number 18 because I've been saying it for months. So I had to work up a GM trade. The Eagles will be picking at number 18, swapping with the Dolphins. So here we go.
Spoiler alert.
Well, yeah.
You have an inside knowledge on the scouts, don't you?
I don't know. I like the number 18. Yeah. So picks 1 and 2, they're locks. I mean, we know what's happening. They already have houses and contracts and their jerseys are pre-made. These two are done. The Jags are taking Lawrence. The Jets are taking Wilson. I don't necessarily. We were talking today on Twitter about the quarterbackness and the overhypeness. Mm-hmm. Quarterbacks tend to get hyped up. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is he's definitely the best quarterback in the draft, but I don't know if they all are as deserving as they're being hyped up to be. But it happens every year.
But Chip, remember this. It is a passing league. So a passing league means the emphasis on the quarterback is a lot higher than other positions. If this was 15 years ago, you'd see 3 or 4 running backs going in the first round. You don't see that anymore. The emphasis on the quarterback is so high. So you're going to have a lot more first-round pick being quarterbacks, and you're going to have a lot of teams giving up earlier on quarterbacks because that's the emphasis of the position and what offenses are being done. And also, your Trevor Lawrence thing. Trevor Lawrence is probably the best prospect since Andrew Luck. And
I agree. I agree with that. We had this discussion with. I don't know if you were a part of it today, Johnny, or not. But Trevor Lawrence is, in my opinion, the most sure quarterback. I'll say since Andrew Luck. I'll agree with that. Coming out of college, some people agree, some people don't. But outside of that, I don't think one other quarterback that's going to go in this first round, including Zach Wilson, number 2 to the Jets, is even a first-round talent at quarterback, in my opinion. And I understand. I agree with that, but I don't see the hype in any of them.
I agree with that. Like, I look at Joe Burrow last year. Joe Burrow was deserving of the number 1 pick. He played at above exceptional level for an exceptional program in the toughest division in college football. Trevor Lawrence, he's a winner, but he had absolute studs. And again, we're going to see, but he's going to Jacksonville where he doesn't have the weapons. So we're going to see how very good he is. But again, 1 and 2 are locks. There was never any question. Mm-hmm. So 3 through 7, there is a lot of talk with who the 49ers are taking. And I look at Shanahan and I go, he's taking the safe pick. He's taking the pro-style Mac Jones. Then I got Kyle Pitts going to the Falcons, Penei Sewell to the Bengals because somebody's got a block for Joe Burrows, Jamar Chase going to the Dolphins because Tua needs weapons, and Devonta Smith going to the Lions.
Okay, so
Jeff, before Johnny breaks it all down, let's get 1 minute of comment because I see this here and I've got thoughts on it, but I'll let Jeff go first.
I just honestly feel they're starting with the 49ers pick. We know the reports that's between Trey Lance and Mac Jones, but I honestly feel they're going with Trey Lance just because the 49ers are so built right now, besides the quarterback position, that they have time for Trey Lance to develop into that pro ready quarterback. And I feel Trey Lance has a little bit more of upside than Mac Jones. Honestly, I don't see that. You guys are talking about the quarterbacks.
Mac Jones should not be a first round pick.
He should be I would say at least a top 10, top 15, he probably shouldn't be. With the rest of them, Falcons, Kyle Pitts, I definitely agree with. They're going to be targeting at least one of the weapons. I do think they might have a chance to go quarterback as well, just for the fact that Matt Ryan's on the last run of his career, and they'd rather have a guy in the wing behind him because they probably can still get a year or two out of Matt Ryan. That way they have that quarterback ready for when he steps away. And a couple of our picks, I agree they can possibly happen. Bengals, they better pick Penei Sewell just for the fact that they lost their quarterback last year for the season. You need to protect that investment, where I know some people think they might be targeting one of the wide receivers. If they do, I understand Joe Burrow needs some weapons, but come on, protect the investment.
All right, Johnny. Mm-hmm. Johnny, you go with your thoughts now on 3.
He was chomping at the bit.
I know he was like jumping through the screen.
So
show some it. Show it. Let us hear it.
The Mac Jones pick, I understand that. Mac Jones, Trey Lance. I have a feeling that if it's Mac Jones, then the whole Justin Fields thing is going to get interesting, because you could see a team like Atlanta go Justin Fields. But for me, you look at it, Kyle Pitts would be a sensible pick, because I feel that they are going to wind up trading after June 1st. They'll trade Julio Jones because of the injuries and because of he's getting up in age. You're getting a guy that could possibly replace him in terms of what they can do on the field. The Bengals, the Dolphins, that right there could be vice versa. And
could go either way.
Okay.
Exactly.
And there's an argument for both, right?
There is an argument for both. Now, Penei Sewell, my big issue with the Bengals are they don't know what they're doing on the offensive line. They don't develop players right. There's a center that they had last year, Billy Price. They had started one game, and he was way better than what they were putting out on the field. So the problem is they have some talent there. They're just not putting the right guys. They're not drafting the right guys. Sewell would fit that, but my feeling is they go Jamar Chase and try to get a tackle early in the second round. Now the Dolphins it's interesting, because do the Dolphins know that already, that they're not going to go Sewell, and that would drop the lineman to the Dolphins, because the Dolphins traded Eric Flowers to Washington yesterday, which was their starting guard. And for me, that's an interesting point, because the Dolphins have 2 first-round picks. Now, you did a little bit of dipsy-do with the trading and everything, so we'll see what the second one is.
One trade. And for me, that was the toughest part, because as I'm building this up, I know Shep is saying, the Patriots coming up. In my mind, the Patriots are going to trade up to get their quarterback.
Yeah.
But I have them locked into whatever spot they are. So I more or less, as I continue doing this and we get to the later half of my portion, it's who I think they're going to end up with, whether or not they actually get them at that exact pick, but it's who I think they're going to end up with. But again, I know Burrows is saying, hey, I want Chase. He's my guy. Somebody's got to block for this kid. Somebody's got to block for this kid. And that's why I went offensive tackle there.
And then the last
Devonta Smith,
The Devonta Smith, I could see that's another one. This is where a prime candidate, where you see the lines trading out. Getting more picks and being able to move back.
That's the first thing I was going to say about this whole board was the Devonta Smith at 7 pick. Not because, as our boy, Max says here, he's at 7, wide receiver 4 at best. I'm actually higher on Devonta Smith than others are. I like him better than Waddle. I do. He's my number 2 wide receiver in this draft, Devonta Smith. Okay, it's Chase and Smith, in my opinion. But I'm no expert. But the Lions will not be taking a wide receiver in the first round, because I think we've pretty much learned that when the Eagles take a defensive end with their pick, the whole city's going to burn down. If the Lions take another first-round wide receiver, Detroit will burn to the ground.
But again, you just traded for a quarterback. Again, he needs weapons, and I know the defense is in shambles over there. But I'm not a big Devonta Smith fan. But at some point, you look at all these draft experts, and they go, "Well, he's the Heisman Trophy winner. He's this, he's that." Oh, okay, well. then his stock will rise.
That, and I would say the Falcons pick's really gonna be the wild card pick, because if they do go
100%.
I'll say Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase probably are going to be available for the Dolphins and the Lions. So I feel they might target wide receiver, but if Chase and Pitts are both off the board, I don't see them going Devontae, either trading back or drafting one of the top defensive stars like Micah Parsons or Patrick Surtain.
I'm going to throw a question out to Johnny here, and then everybody else can respond too. So first off, I don't think Mac Jones goes third to the 49ers. I see one of two scenarios playing out. Either they take Justin Fields. I know everybody's going to laugh at me for saying that. I think he's going to be the third quarterback off the board. I really do. Or I think the 49ers have been throwing smoke screens personally, just like the Eagles have been potentially with the 100 different prospects they've been looking at for the first-round pick. And maybe the 49ers actually trade that pick. Johnny, any thoughts on that? It's just this is not something I've read. This is something that's been percolating in my head for about a week or so, that the 49ers are going to be the team, not the Falcons, that trade out of that top 5-6 spots there.
Right. So I did hear something interesting yesterday. So, and it made me think, and I'm going to say it, and you guys may think it's interesting and a point that you could possibly see. What if the 49ers and the Jets? Now, I know that Jimmy Garoppolo apparently with the Patriots and people talking whatever that is. But what if the 49ers and the Jets, Robert Saleh was with the 49ers, they come into an agreement of, they'll swap picks. The Jets get Garoppolo as their quarterback, and the Jets go ahead and pick a guy like Kyle Pitts at number 2, which drops Zach Wilson number 3 to the 49ers.
Wow, I haven't read that anywhere. That's a little.
My feeling on this is, but my feeling on this is, 49ers gave up so much to go to number 3, to not know who they're going to select. To me, that's a little bit of. To me, that's hogwash. They know who they want.
But again, hold on. Our boy Mustang's saying here, why would they trade up to trade back? Well, that's exactly. I mean, the Eagles have traded down. The Eagles are trying to get back in the top 10. Trade up or trade down again. It's all about getting trade value at the right time. They got great value to move up to 3. They might get even more value for a team that's desperate for a quarterback that wants to get up there. It's a whole bunch of things that could happen. I agree that 5 and 6 could go either way. I agree with Chip saying that the Bengals, it's more of a priority to protect, Burrows than get him a weapon. But I'm still stuck on 7 with Devontae Smith. I love Devontae Smith, but the Lions have so much else that they need that Devontae Smith at 7 is such a tough call.
I'll give Chip this. With the Lions, Devontae Smith, remember, Kenny Galladay's on the Giants now. Marvin Jones is not there either. So you lost 2 big weapons. So
and Jared Goff has got to throw the ball to somebody. Goff has got to throw the ball to somebody.
They got a tight end, Hawkinson. He's okay. He's not anything special. So, maybe they take Waddle, maybe they take Smith, but I could see them trading back because Slater would be the next lineman off the board, right, Johnny?
Right. Most likely Slater and Darisaw.
So he's not going to be there. He'll be there still at the 10-12 range probably. So, you see the Lions trade back. I see the Lions as a trade partner with the Eagles, personally, in my opinion. But that's another whole subject.
From 6 to 12 to 7.
Again, it goes back to the point. Trade value at the time. What they spent to move back to 12 or got for moving back to 12 versus the cost to move up to 7 or 8 or wherever it may be. They're not going to have to give up one of those first. They're going to give up a third-round pick and something in the future. You got to look at the timing and the value at that time.
All right.
Let's move on to 8.
Let's continue. 8 to 12. 8 to 12. I got Surtain going to the Panthers.
Okay.
This switched today. It was Trey Lance, but now the Broncos are taking Micah Parsons because they solved their quarterback issue, at least for this season. Cowboys need a corner. They take J.C. Horn. Giants take Waddle. Then they trade. And I tried to pull a GM thing here. Dolphins take 12. Eagles get 18 and a third-round pick. Sure, that's going to work great. And then the Dolphins get their offensive tackle, Rashawn Slater.
All right. So first off, Johnny, Panthers aren't staying at 8 in my opinion. Is there any thought to that?
I don't think they stay at 8 because if you look at
the board, I don't think so either. The way the board is shaking out, for them, they have a few needs.
And the thing is, if they were to trade back 3, 4, 5 spots, they're still going to be one of those players that they're going to be able to get, and they're getting more compensation. So for them, I think that they're an absolute trade candidate for somebody, especially if Justin Fields is still on the board, and you have these other teams like the Patriots and Trey Lance still on the board, like the Patriots and like the Washington football team and like the Chicago Bears. There's prime candidate to trade up. So I agree with you there.
So real quick, before we get to 9 and 10, Brian brings up a good point here. Giants would be stacked at wide receiver. That is not their number one need, wide receiver. So I'm a little surprised with the Jalen Waddle pick at 11 because they need, just like J.C. Horn. I mean, if Surtain and Horn are off the board for them at 11, that's another spot where they might trade back because do they really need – I mean, they need a wide receiver because they've got some unproven wide receivers, but they have young wide receivers there. Just like the Eagles have young, unproven wide receivers. They have so many more holes on that team than wide receiver. I would see them, with 11 and 12, they'd be more, in my opinion, likely to take Slater over Waddle.
Yeah.
Jeff, you're agreeing with that, Jeff?
Yeah. They're already so already so stacked at the wide receiver position. They're either going defense or offensive line, or if they don't see anyone there, then they're possibly a candidate to trade back. But I was with the way Chip's board is going, with Surtain, Parsons, and Horn all off the board right before them. If they're going defense, they'll probably move their way back. I don't see him taking their wide receiver. They paid Galladay that big money. Mm-hmm. They still have Slayton. They're getting, of course, running back Saquon Barkley back.
They picked the fifth-year option today of?
Yes, and that was kind of my logic and what Adam put in the comments over here. There is no defense outside of Washington in the NFC East. So my logic was the Giants are going to kind of take a page out of the Cowboys' way of doing things, which is load the offense up with weapons, score 38 to 40 points per game, and hope that your defense can hold them to 30.
All right, Johnny, tell Jeff or Chip that he's wrong, that the Broncos are not taking a quarterback at 9. The Broncos are still taking Trey Lance or Fields or Mac Jones.
No way.
Whoever is best on the board at quarterback at 9. Micah Parsons, I love Micah Parsons. I want him at the Eagles, but there's no way he goes in the top 10, in my opinion.
So my feeling on that is a Trey Lance is a guy that is going to sit probably a year. You just traded for Teddy Bridgewater, who's a bridge quarterback. Drew Lock, they're not sold on, and who knows if he even makes it, next year. You need a guy that's going to sit there. He may not play, maybe Bridgewater and Lock, but to me, Trey Lance makes perfect sense, especially if he falls to 9 for them, because they made this trade. This trade was made just in case none of those quarterbacks are there. Then they have a bridge quarterback and they have Locke to see what he has, everything. If the quarterback falls to them, I think they take the quarterback because it settles, basically helps their future because they have the receivers. They have a competent offensive line. For them, it's getting that final piece on the offense because they need a quarterback. Drew Lock has not been the answer, and Teddy Bridgewater, of course, is not going to be the future for them. So, and then I know Jason's saying here about going corner. Now, they did sign 2 corners in free agency. So I'm not sure if that's going to be an option in the first round. But I think Trey Lance here would make 100% sense.
And I'd be really on board with Chip's, J.C. Horn at 10. But Sean Lee just retired. Vander, whatever his name is always injured.
Right, he's the Sean Lee of the next generation.
The first spot I could see Micah Parsons going, if they don't go cornerback, is the Cowboys. And I'm going to be so pissed if Micah Parsons has to go up against the Eagles for the next 10 or 12 years.
Right, and just as I am making this, remember how I put logic on a first-round pick. In my mind, a first-round pick is playing by the halfway point of the season as a starter. So for me, remember, that's how I look at things.
If you're in the top 10 or 12, it's day one.
Exactly. So how can then I justify saying Trey Lance to the Broncos when he's going to be sitting for a year?
Easy, because quarterback is totally different.
Yeah.
Quarterback is you have to take quarterback and quarterback play out of the equation versus the other thing. Now,
you look at
Johnny, I was going to throw it to Jeff, but I'll throw it to you, Johnny. He's got the Eagles trading out of 12, and trading down. You brought up how the Broncos, signed multiple cornerbacks. if you look at the Eagles free agency thing, they haven't signed a single cornerback, in free agency. So it's Darius Slay, Craig James, Avant. They got nobody at cornerback outside of Darius Slay. So that's where I see the Eagles trading up if they move to get Horn or Surtain. Johnny?
If Surtain is available at number 8, like we talked about the whole trade, going back, if you want to get up from 12 to 8, really all you're going to have to give up probably is your number 84 pick in the 3rd round. For me, if that's to go to get a guy, you may have to give up another later round.
I would think it'd be 70 or 84 in Ertz, some kind of combination there.
Yeah, which for me is fine, because if I can go up there and get a guy like Patrick Surtain to play across from Darius Slay, and then you go in like maybe the 4th round or the 5th round, you grab another corner. But I think they need to load up 2 to possibly 3 corners in this draft, because like you stated, they need young players. They need more players because they don't have really anything. The depth there is non-existent right now.
Yeah, they don't even have the players to develop. They don't have players at all.
So again, I got to interrupt for a second. Jeff, did the Sixers blow their 30-point lead?
No,
your facial impressions.
Are you watching the Phillies game? Because that's what I'm watching.
Fucking Bryce Harper got pelted in the face, and then the next batter, freaking Cabrera, knocked Didi in the back. So
there's going to be a brawl at some point in the Phillies game, and that's what we're all very distracted by.
Stream the brawl if it happens.
I will just turn my computer to my Hulu.
Okay. Much
and Girardi just got ejected.
Good.
All right. So anyway,
let's keep moving on here. So the 12th spot, Rashawn Slater. If your trade goes through, again, I personally, Jeff or Johnny, I don't know if you agree. I don't think 18 and 81 is enough for the Eagles, in my opinion. No. I don't want that. I want 81 and something else, in my opinion. I don't think that's a worthy investment right there. But if it just goes through, is Slater the right pick there at 12 for the Dolphins?
That is absolutely.
If they go Chase at 6 and then Slater at 12.
Exactly. So Chase there gets their weapon to play alongside Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. You have that. But also, this gives them, with trading Eric Flowers, Slater doesn't need to play tackle right away. He can play guard for them, that open spot there. They have Jesse Davis, who played right tackle last year. He's kind of a swing type of guy. So if they want to play Rashawn Slater at right tackle, that'll work. But for me, that is an absolute steal of a draft. They get Chase and Slater with their first 2 picks.
They don't even need to pick the rest of the draft.
Right. They fill their 2 major spots.
They're done.
So, and the thing is, last year they drafted Austin Jackson out of USC, and he's their starting left tackle. So you can have Slater as the right tackle or the guard right now, but you got 2 guys there that could be your bookends for the next 8 to 10 years. So that's a hell of a haul.
Jeff, before he moves on to the next slide, any other comments on this 8 through 12 bracket?
Yeah, Eagles aren't moving down, first off, and then 2.
They might. I won't say they won't, but they're not moving down like this.
They won't move down. I would say they won't move down to 18 with the Dolphins. Essentially, what I'm saying. But and then with the Dolphins, I don't see why. Slater's a tremendous prospect, but there's going to be a couple of players there at 18 that they possibly could target, or move up only a couple less spots to get the other offensive lineman with 3 first names. The dude out USC or whatever, Johnny, you know his name.
Elijah Vera Tucker.
Yeah.
That's it. That or I was kind of.
You're going to see him very shortly.
They're weak at the linebacking position too. So I would say I feel with their first pick they'll of course stress the offensive need, and then with the second first round pick go defense, where they would draft the linebacker Jock or his initials are or whatever. I can never remember.
The dude from Notre Dame, right?
Mock drafts,
yeah,
where Parsons falls to like 15, 16, 17. So they might have to move up 1 or 2 spots to get Micah Parsons.
I saw one that had Micah Parsons going 19 to Washington.
No offense. I mean, we'll get on to the next slide in a second. But I want to ask each of you, Johnny, you can go first after I say mine. But I think Micah Parsons will be. I don't even care about the rest of them. I think Micah Parsons will be one of the top 3 players from this draft 5 years from now.
Agreed.
I agree. Like I said, I had LeVar Arrington on, who knows him very well, watched him play. He's played the position. He said he's like Ray Lewis, who can blitz. Yeah. I'm going to go off of a player. I'm going to go off of someone who's played the game at the position, played a high level.
At a high level.
Pick, at a high level, was the number 2 overall pick back in 2000. I'm going to go with what he says. So I agree.
Jeff, Micah Parsons is not a top 3 player 5 years from now?
No, I agree. I feel Micah Parsons is. I keep on saying the way this league is, you continue to see more impactful players on the defensive side from the linebacking position, and I'll say the ones that you see impacting for Case, the Buccaneers, both their superstar linebackers were drafted first and second round. So you need to start valuing that position a little bit more. And I feel Micah Parsons, he might have that off the field issue some people think he has, but I don't care. Let that be in the past. Alongside comes
so did Lawrence Taylor. So did Lawrence Taylor.
Wasn't Micah Parsons a top 5 or 6 prospect before the issues off the field came out, Johnny?
Yeah.
Weren't people projecting him in the top 5 or 6 before that?
Yeah, he was top 5 talent. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the hazing issues. Look, I'm somebody that's completely against hazing, completely against bullying and all that stuff. I hate it. I was bullied as a child. But you know what? Players do stupid. These guys did stupid things when they're kids. They grow up. They learn from their mistakes. He deserves another shot. I mean, somebody is going to get a steal, whether it's 10, 12, 18 in the draft, wherever it may be. Someone's going to get a steal of a player in Micah Parsons, and he's going to grow up to be an adult and not make those kind of mistakes, hopefully.
As long as he doesn't go to a division rival, I don't care where the hell he goes and succeeds.
I want him at the Eagles or someone outside of the NFC. I don't even want to see him in the NFC.
Oh, for sure.
All right, Chip, move on to slides 13 through.
This is where my shit fell apart because of this fucking trade today. I'm not going to lie. This is where I was like, I'm just going to start putting names in here because of this trade today.
I thought that's what you did with the first 12 picks.
Yeah. No. I won't disagree with you on that one, Johnny. Maybe the first time we've agreed in like 6 months.
All right, so the Chargers are taking the dude from USC because, again, they need someone to block for Herbert. Then the Vikings, the Vikings have a lot of holes, but one of them is offensive line. They were just kind of turning over players at this point. So Christian Darrisaw makes sense there. The Patriots, I don't know if they're going to pick him at 15, but they will end up with Trey Lance. The Cardinals just lost Peterson, so they replace him with Farley. And the Raiders get the dude from Notre Dame because, again, a ton of holes. Jeremiah Owusu-Koroma.
Yeah. He practiced that in front of a mirror for 5 hours.
No, I just read it phonetically just now. How close was I?
It was
all right, so Johnny, I got a first question. Instant reaction first question. Is Tucker and Darshaw both worth being top 15 picks there? Because I really don't see enough people picking those two guys in the top 15 of the draft.
So, my draft host, Tommy Barnett, he picked Elijah Vera Tucker in our community mock draft. He picked Elijah Vera Tucker at number 11 for the Giants. So, wow. Vera Tucker could go early. I don't agree with the Viking selection.
Don't worry, we're getting to this question in a second. We're going to get to that in a second, okay? Don't worry.
The Vikings, I feel this is where the first pass rusher could go off the board. They struggled mightily with their pass rush last year. And I feel this definitely could be that pick, number 14. And then, Trey Lance, I could definitely see that with the Patriots if he were to fall. But this is the Patriots also trading up to get a guy like Trey Lance.
Right.
Caleb Farley, I feel he's going to drop possibly out of the first round. There's been a lot of
wasn't he ahead of Horn at one point?
Yeah,
pre like combine or whatever they called it in pro days. He was coming out of the college playoffs as one of the top, 2 cornerbacks, wasn't he?
He just had back surgery this past March.
He just had
Yep. Plus, he has a torn ACL in his history. Plus, he opted out. Okay. Plus, he possibly could have another surgery later on. And to me, that's too many red flags. So, but I get it. The Cardinals do need corner help. Absolutely. The Raiders, Jeremiah Owusu-Koroma, that or an offensive tackle go there. But a player like Koromoa, he's not going to fit every defense. He's going to be a guy that you're going to need to use him right. Like last year, the Cardinals selected Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson. They did not use him the way that he should have been used. Same with like a player like Jeremy Chin with Carolina. Certain teams are going to use them, and I can see him being the Joker type, which is nicknamed the Joker. But I that pick I agree with. My only thing is, I swear to God, if you have Justin Fields, number 18 to the Eagles, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah,
So
let me
digress.
let me Jeff jump in here. Mr. AA Mac 1234, who did a great job covering all the pro days for All About the Birds of all the schools and all where we were involved. Does Justin Fields, Jeff, not exist anymore? How do you answer that?
It's not that he doesn't exist. It's just the quarterback needy teams at the top end of the draft, and there's other teams that might need a quarterback, but they feel the best player available outweighs Justin Fields. So you could possibly see your Justin Fields. I don't feel Justin Fields might not drop as far, but I feel Mac Jones might drop a little bit. But one of those two is going to be the odd man out among these teams and drop quite a bit. And you might see one of the teams that need a quarterback in the late first or in the higher early second round move back up late in the first to get one of those guys.
Look,
so
I'm going to throw it out to all of you.
Respond.
Chip, you can answer first.
Yes.
But is the Justin Fields dropping when you do it and everybody else does it? Is it because he's an Ohio State quarterback there's never been one that succeeded? Bobby Hoyne is the greatest Ohio State quarterback, and we know how he worked out. Is it because he's from Ohio State, or is it because of you just saw something you didn't like? Because I think Justin Fields is the second best quarterback in this draft, in my opinion.
So for me, before 2 p.m. today, I had Trey Lance to the Broncos and Justin Fields to the Patriots. With this happening, with the trade for Bridgewater, the Broncos aren't going to take a quarterback in the first round. I am convinced of that, which means Trey Lance
did you see that makes Trey Lance better than Justin Fields? Because
the hype around, and then that's where you go to Ohio State. That's where you go to the Ohio State thing. I don't see success.
Well, North Dakota State's had a really great track record with quarterbacks in the NFL too, right?
Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than anything that Ohio State has ever produced.
Got us a Super Bowl.
But now, would you consider, Joe Burrow was at Ohio State for 2 years and then transferred out?
No, he had his success at LSU.
Point, I won't lie. I love that point. I'm going to throw that point out there. I'm going to use it on Twitter tomorrow, I'm sure.
I was actually going to use it today, but I said when I saw your thread, would you actually use it? I'm like, no, I'm not going to use it. It may come up later. So
say it for a nugget later. All right, yeah. Chip. Let's move on to the magical pick number 18, where Justin Fields goes to the Eagles.
So,
because
Justin Fields
editing in the background, Jeff, as we go here.
Justin Fields is still available. However, Howie Roseman is putting this pick in. And I know he wants to reopen. You know he wants to reopen the quarterback factory. But there was a recall, y'all. With the 18th pick in the NFL draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Kwity Paye, defensive lineman from Michigan.
Look, I'm going to answer first real quick here. I have nothing against him. I think he could be a potentially good player. And at 18, it's better than them taking him at 12.
Yes.
Absolutely. But, and I know Fletcher Cox.
And they blow the pick. They blow the pick.
Everybody's getting old. But next year's draft class, and I read this somewhere else. I don't actually know this off the top of my head. Next year's defensive line draft class is way better than this year, so they can address other needs than Conway Twitty here. That's what when I see that name, I think of the Family Guy making fun of Conway Twitty. That's all. I don't know.
They blow the pick.
Conway Twitty,
they blow the pick. Yeah, they blow the pick again. And they're going to do the whole storyline of, well, he's the new and improved Brandon Graham. No, stop. They blew the pick. I think the Eagles blow the pick tomorrow. Kwity Paye, defensive lineman, Michigan.
Tomorrow night, you're going to see this. And I'm going to log off instantly from our draft show. Which tomorrow night we will be live at 8 p.m. Chip and I, we got some special guests joining us throughout the show. We're going to be live breaking down every pick as it happens live.
It's going to be the video clip that I posted today. That's what you're going to be doing from Everella's Raymond. That's what it's going to be. But no.
All right. So, boys, respond to Chip's pick here of Kwity Paye. I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
You are. I looked it up.
It is Kwity Paye. Go ahead.
Wait,
I'll let everyone else go. I'll go last. Go ahead.
Jeffrey, what is DJ Spazzy Jeff doing when Kwity Paye is announced by the commissioner for the Eagles pick?
I won't be against it. Look, the Eagles have a need to get an edge rusher, and Kwity Paye is one of those.
He's muted. You keep going. I was muting Chip for the guy.
Oh, I thought you were muting me.
Ryan wanted Chip to be muted for his pick, so he's muted.
Oh, gotcha. I wouldn't be against it. I like you said, I'd rather have it at 18 rather than reach at 12 for the guy. Look, I would say he's definitely one of the top pass rushers in the draft. And to your point, Phil, that next year's draft class looks to be a stronger pass rushing draft class. That can change in an instant. One dude blows his knee out or something happens. They have bad combine numbers, don't have the senior year that they wanted. Those guys drop. So if they can get one of the top pass rushers, I wouldn't be against it because they need to start focusing on the defensive side of the football. But only make this trade and this type of pick if one of the corners or one of the receivers is not available at 12. That's the only way.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Johnny, Mr. Draft Boy.
So this selection, if you're at 18 and you select Kwity Paye, to me, I don't think it's the end of the world. I did see one of Matt Templin, who's one of the, he comments on a lot of our stuff. He put something really good out there, and it makes a lot of sense. You have a guy like Derek Barnett, who is only on a 1-year deal. You have a guy like Josh Sweat, who's had injury history with his knees over the years. You have Brandon Graham, who is 33 years old. There is a need for defensive line, defensive end. Mm-hmm. If they don't go in the first round, if they don't go with this pick, they're definitely going to draft a edge rusher, defensive end in this draft. But to me, if Jalen Phillips didn't have the concussion issues or injury issues, he would be the number one guy on the board, no doubt. And to me, if this is the pick, it's going to be an absolute uproar. If it's a defensive lineman or if it's an offensive lineman, it's going to be burn the city down because we want a skill position player.
Well, see, I don't want a skill position player. I want built through the trenches. But like you said, I know those guys are older and they're coming towards the end of their career and injury issues. But that is, you can get a pass rusher that could step in the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth round. You can't get, a wide receiver. You can't get a stud linebacker. You can't get a shutdown corner in the seventh round. You can get, a defensive lineman that can blitz a quarterback as a rotational thing to start, in a later round.
So to compare next year's defensive end class real quick, if those players were in this draft, you'd probably see 4 to 5 go in the first round. That's how talented this next group could potentially be next year. And the Eagles have potentially 3 first-round draft picks next year. So it is something to definitely keep an eye on, think about. But
wow,
I'm not
again, a lot. So Chip, where's the next slide? Picks 19 through 25.
Didn't do them. Stopped at 18, as I was told.
At least you followed it.
I thought the Chip segment was going to last 30 minutes. We're almost at 45 minutes. So that means we got to get into Jeff's segment of Jeff's complete Eagles 7-round draft.
So here's what we'll do. So we're not spending 20 minutes on each pick. I'll just go through the 7th round or all 7 rounds, and then we can dissect on what you guys like, don't like, whatever. So let's just do that.
So we can plug it again. Julie's saying we're going to be holding our breath tomorrow. Again, everybody that watches later or listening on Apple iTunes or Spotify, wherever you listen to our podcast, we appreciate it. We're going to be live tomorrow night, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, breaking down each pick from the NFL draft up till the Eagles pick at 12, 18, 7, wherever the Eagles pick. We're going to be live. We got special guests lined up. Just want to make sure everybody tunes in tomorrow night. You set your notifications on Facebook and YouTube so that when we go live, it tells you we're live. You'll know right here. Chip and I, we're going to have a rotation of special guests tomorrow. Make sure you tune in, everybody. You do any guests? Hang tight, Jay, man. We'll see. We'll see if you can throw you in the green room. We got a Mel Kiper type. We might need a – what's the other dude's name? I don't even remember his name.
Tom McShay.
McShay. I always forget McShay's name because he's –
McShay and Daniel Jeremiah and then Mayock was with
McShay is like he's like the Howie Roseman to Joe Banner. He's just the junior. He's really not that good. So, Jeff, let's bring up your Eagles mock draft. Obviously, you have the Eagles staying at 12.
Yeah, I didn't do any trades. I followed the rules and did no trades whatsoever. So
somebody follows the rules.
But let me go through the picks, then we'll dive into it. So, number one, of course, I feel the Eagles need to target one of the playmakers. I feel Devontae Smith will follow them at 12 if he's there. They got to pull the trigger. The second pick, I agree with Johnny. I feel Caleb Farley is going to fall a bit. And honestly, I have a feeling at the Eagles, if he's still there, maybe late first round, that they might trade up for him. If not, I do think he has a possibility of falling at to 37. So Farley or the backup, if he's not there, Asante Samuel Jr. is another name being targeted. But I feel Farley has the upside more than Samuel, besides of course, he has the injury history, but I think I moved past that a little bit. Third round, Jabril Cox, linebacker LSU. They need a target linebacker at least in one of those first 2-day picks because they desperately need linebacker help.
I love your draft so far. I love it.
Yeah, first 3 picks, I would be super
I'd be happy with the draft.
3 picks. I'd be like, all right, I'm done. I don't even care about rounds 4 through 7.
Once again, like I said, any target defense, especially early on in the draft, we brought up, I know Chip had Kwity Paye. I have them going edge rusher a little bit later in the draft. One of the top guys in the later rounds, Ronnie Perkins out of Oklahoma. Fourth round, start targeting the offensive line a little bit. This is where Howie has had a lot of success with offensive linemen in the later part of the rounds. They have to start looking forward to build that depth and future starters for the offensive line with the possibilities of Jason Kelsey retiring soon, the health of Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson. So I feel they target offensive line somewhere in day 3 early on. Fifth round, safety Tyreek Gillespie out of Missouri, with Rodney McLeod possibly on the PUP list. With Kayvon Wallace, there's not a lot of depth there at the safety position. He's also a guy that can provide a lot of flexibility moving from corner to safety, special teams. So he brings you that versatility that the Eagles love so much, especially on the defensive side of the football. Sixth round, Jalen Moore, Western Michigan, offensive tackle, just building some depth piece. Javion,
all these guys are at this point depth pieces.
A little bit, along the offensive line, definitely. But I would say Javion Hawkins. I would say he's a guy that could fits the Eagles system a little bit, in my opinion, and especially with Miles Sanders having a little bit of a down season last year, and with the uncertainty for him in the 2 years left on his rookie contract. Boston Scott's nothing special, in my opinion, and Jordan Howard, who knows if he even makes the team. I feel the Eagles are going to target one of the running back somewhat later round in the draft. Sixth round, there's your quarterback, Felipe Franks out of Arkansas. Look, we have 2 quarterbacks on the roster right now. There's pretty much almost a guarantee that the Eagles are drafting a quarterback really late in the 6th or 7th round, or somehow one of the undrafted free agents is making the team as the 3rd quarterback.
Absolutely.
7th round, cornerback Antonio Phillips. Don't know much about him, but has a lot of speed. And then 7th round, another guard, Tommy Kramer out of Notre Dame.
He's a husky fella, isn't he?
All right, so don't take it off the screen. I'm going to forget all the names really quickly.
Okay.
So
leave the last one up.
Johnny, instant reaction to Jeff's Eagles mock draft. What are your thoughts? How would you grade it? You know, if you're going to give it an A, B, C, or F grade, what are you giving it?
I would say a B.
Where did he make his mistakes then?
I think. No, the first 4 picks I really like. I like you're able to get the receiver, you get a corner, you get a linebacker, get an edge rusher. The Farley thing, if you can get him in the 2nd round, the injury thing just scares me a little bit, just because we've gone through that. How many of these guys that we've gotten corners that have had some injury issues that, you know, either they're not ready, they wait. It's just that's the only thing that scares me.
They're not. It's almost like they're not going to do Farley in the 2nd round because of the Sidney Jones 2nd round debacle, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a prerequisite at this point. Like, in order to play corner for the Philadelphia Eagles, you have to have had certain amount of games on an injury list. Therefore, you are now able to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, that's what I'm learning about this team.
But I like the Cox pick. I like Ronnie Perkins.
Hold on, can we get that? I like the Cox.
That's on a t-shirt.
Segmented out, because I already said it once and no one did it. So thank God. So can we get Johnny saying I like the Cox? You know, yeah. Anyway, yeah. I'm a child. I've got a sense of humor of a 12-year-old. So yeah,
it's cool.
I think the center pick maybe a little bit early. I feel like you can go safety at that point, or maybe another corner. But otherwise, it's solid. Antonio Phillips, when we had Antonio Nunn, who played in the same conference as Antonio Phillips at Ball State, and his teammate, as we also had on, he said he was the toughest corner in practice and everything. So he's a gritty, a tough player. Tommy Kramer, as you could see in the picture, is a load. Felipe
he's
Franks,
a husky fella.
A developmental quarterback, he's got the prototypical size and everything. He just struggles with his, vision and his accuracy and turnovers. But that's what you're getting when you draft a guy in the 6th round. Javian Hawkins, I feel like this would be, get him in the 6th round. He could be a guy down the road that could either be your top number 2 or possibly even a starter. I really like him. I know Tommy as well was really high on Hawkins as a back in the league. He can do so many different things. So I like those picks. All in all, the draft isn't bad.
Real quick, Johnny, I got a question for you. Which one of these guys? I mean, we could talk about 1, 2, 3, whatever. But from the center, Drew Dahlman, down, are any of these guys drafted too early, or any of these guys drafted way too late, where they won't be available where Jeff picked them?
I think the Jalen Moore may be a little bit rich in terms of drafting a little too high.
Okay.
But again, when you're getting into the 6th and 7th round, it's such a toss up. It's a roll of the dice. So he could go 6th round because all those picks. I wouldn't really say they're super high. Maybe Tommy Kramer is more a 5th, 6th round pick. But again, the thing is with this year, with the amount of limited tape and with everything going on, every single draft board is absolute chaos. It's going to be totally different because you don't have as much tape as you would have in normal years. So I don't think there's super reaches that Jeff did. I feel like it's basically settled kind of where they're going to go. He didn't put guys that were in, the first couple rounds in, he gets them in the 6th or 7th round. He didn't, nothing like that is in this.
Gotcha. We got a lot of love for Javian Hawkins in our comment section right now. Everybody is loving Javian Hawkins with that pick there, Jeff.
But look, I'll say I'm not going to lie. I kind of cheated. I did like 4 or 5 Pro Football Focus draft simulation.
PFF, they're the worst. You should have used somebody else.
I don't know, whichever one Johnny uses for his draft show, that's the one I use. So I did like 4 or 5 mock drafts to see where some of these guys are averaging positions, Eagles needs, that type of stuff. So I apologize if I reached a little bit on a couple of the guys, because honestly, I don't know a lot of the late round selections as much as you do, but really the only thing I care about, and I'm not saying I don't care about the later round picks, but the only thing that really matters for this Eagles team is rounds at least 1 through 3, them hitting on and making some type of contribution day 1 or somewhat time early in the season for them to make any type of drastic improvement. So if you feel those guys can do that, I did my job.
And I agree with that. Like, looking at these picks, I agree. The first 3 picks in the draft are what we're going to judge. Or the first 3 rounds are what we're really going to judge this draft on.
I care about the first 3, period.
Right, because all the other players that you draft past the 3rd round, you know they're going to be some developmental players. Now, it just so happened that the Eagles this season required those developmental players to be starters this season. So that fell apart.
That's what I just want to throw that in there. I think out of their first 3 picks, if you want to say the first 4 picks in round 1, 2, 3, they need 2 starters immediately from their first 3 or 4 picks. 2 day 1 starters, Chip.
And that's the only thing that I look at this list and I go, okay, the Devonta Smith thing makes sense. 1 out of those next 3 picks being a defensive player makes sense to me. Remember, you heard at the post-season conference that this is an offensive league. So it would actually surprise me to see 3 defensive players picked before the 4th round. I would be surprised by that, by all get-outs.
Johnny's draft talk show co-host Tom Barnett's checking in with Ronnie Perkins is a steal at 84. Do you guys agree with that?
And real quick, credit to Tommy. I did not do these graphics. I appreciate him taking the time. So kudos to TBs for the graphics, setting me up.
Tommy Barnett is a great asset to the All About the Birds team. Does great work with Johnny on the draft talk show.
But looking at this, and
anybody there?
Yeah, we heard you.
Yeah, and I look at this draft and I look at what Jeff did, and I'm gonna go with Don's comment here. He talked about 3 or 4 picks. I think they need to get 3 to 4 guys in this draft that need to be starters and contributing starters for you. You need to find, unfortunately, with your past drafts and what they've done in recent years, you need 3 to 4 guys where it doesn't matter if it's the first 4 guys or somewhere in this, you need to be able to get 3 to 4 really good contributors out of this draft, because your next year you're going to have a lot of compensation, a lot of assets to use to be able to add more talent. It's about starting now and starting that process to be able to get those players and to get those the contributions that you need. And hopefully it starts with this draft, and hopefully you can get some development out of the previous couple of years, a couple guys there, but it starts now. You need to be able to hit on 3 to 4 at least.
And remember, for me personally, the way I'm judging this upcoming season, it's not by wins and losses. It's by development of players. So looking at this, I go, okay, they can develop these players. And then with all those very high picks next year, they can see, okay, we're still weak at linebacker. We're still weak at center. And they can fill in what is weak about it. They need to have players this year that can come in, get coached up, and be players. Not to have them sit on the bench for the whole season, because you still don't know. That's really important. This season is all about player development to me.
I want to keep shouting out Tommy Barnett here. I put his Twitter handle up there. You guys are on Twitter. Make sure you're following Tom Barnett, just like the rest of the All About the Birds team and all of us hosts here on the show. But there's Tommy Barnett's Twitter handle up there on the screen. Make sure you're following him. He does great work, just like Johnny, and all this draft breakdown and analysis and stuff. All right, gentlemen. So what else do we got to say about this? I mean, so the question I kind of want to close the show out and let you guys debate is, so Jeff's thing here, we've got 2 cornerbacks. We got 1 wide receiver. We got 1 linebacker. We have 3 offensive linemen. We've got a cornerback. Is the value at each position being done right here, or would you like to see them value certain positions higher than Jeff did here in his mock draft? Chip, you can go first.
Are you asking how we would fix the Eagles, or are you saying what we think realistically is going to happen tomorrow?
Realistically, how the draft, not how Howie's going to do it, because we all know Howie's going to screw it up somehow. How do you think the draft board could shake out that, I think a wide receiver at 12, they might be able to get a cornerback there, or, they might be, do you want to see them value certain positions higher here, overall?
Well, so obviously I would like to value.
I want 2 cornerbacks in the top 4 picks.
Right. Least. I want defensive players first. Period. I want defensive players first. I want linebackers, which is never going to happen. I want corners, which could happen. But they're going to go out and they're going to get a wide receiver. And then they're going to go out and get another wide receiver. They're going to just keep bringing in these, because again, look at your new head coach. Look at the way he talks about the wide receiver position. It is going to be almost guaranteed. I know, Johnny, we almost did it. I don't know if you caught it, but I almost said I had Justin Fields available. Now, to me, the wide receiver position is being overvalued by this organization, whereas the defense, again, you can score 30 points a game, but give up 35 and have a losing record. You have to start building this defense up, because there is nobody on it worth a damn outside of a couple pieces on the front line.
Jeff, I'm going to ask Jeff a question, and Johnny can chime in on it too. I'm looking at Jeff's thing here, and he's got Notre Dame, Ball State, Louisville, Western Michigan, a lot of, I don't want to say smaller schools, but, less competition schools. I want to see them, I want 3 out of the first 4 picks to be defense. I want 2 cornerbacks. I want a linebacker. If we're not getting Micah Parsons, I want Jabril Cox. Do you want them to see them target, for some reason they don't do it, more NFL-ready programs in college with their draft picks? Because we've talked about it, and we've talked about it on Twitter. I mean, how long has it been since he's drafted somebody from Alabama or, something like that? Do you get what I'm asking there?
Yeah, and I understand that some people have looked a little bit down on some of the smaller schools because they're not going up against some of the top talent in the country. But look, these scouts are doing their job. They're looking at tape. They're talking to these guys. They know these guys' intangibles and whether they're ready for the NFL or not. Granted, I understand how he doesn't listen to our scouts, so that might not freaking matter at all. But I don't look so much at the small schools and think that they're going into the NFL not being ready to play football. Honestly, the Eagles are one of the better teams, I feel, at least, especially in the later rounds of the draft, where they have hit a lot more on the smaller schools.
I do look at that in one position only, though. The quarterback position. Yeah, the quarterback position. Simply because we just saw what a quarterback who was playing against sub D1 schools looks like at the NFL level. He's not used to the level of hits he's taking. He's not used to the speed of the game. Look, Carson Wentz could be successful behind a good offensive line, but he wasn't going to be successful here in this town. To be in this town, like to say the Eagles going up against Trey Lance, it's just repeating the same damn mistake.
You bring up a great point there. It's in the top end of the draft where you expect day one starters, where you expect people to be cornerstones of your team. And if they come from North Dakota State or Ball State, they're not ready for that attention. They just
not in Philadelphia either.
And, everybody watching the show knows my Carson Wentz love. I'm a Wentz is elite hashtag guy. I retired it, but now that he's on another team, I can bring it back. It is what it is. But they're just not ready for it. I want to see top-end guys in the top of the draft from top-end schools that are ready to contribute day one and ready for the pressure to contribute day one. Johnny.
What about guys like Jamarcus Russell from LSU, guys like Jameis Winston from Florida State, guys like Marcus Mariota from Oregon? They can be top programs.
Big name schools
do mean they're going to be.
There's nothing against that.
Just because you're a top program doesn't mean that you're more ready than a guy at a mid-tier
program.
There's
a lot more Pro Bowlers in the NFL probably right now from Alabama than Ball State or LSU to Westchester University. You got to look at the overall picture, and more often than not, the bigger schools have more players NFL ready.
Plus, they also have a higher bust rate.
But you're playing the averages because if you look at the smaller schools, right? You look at the smaller schools, they have a higher bust rate too because their players don't even get into the NFL, and the ones that do last a season or two. The exception are players like John Mobley and Andre Reed. Those are the exception.
KU.
That's what I did there because I went to Kutztown.
Middle Tennessee, whatever it's called.
They're the exceptions.
Look, I just think if you're looking, basically you're basing it on where they played college, so who you're going to draft. There's an issue, and I feel
we're basing it off of competition in college.
Yes,
but the problem is just because you're playing a great school or you're playing a great conference doesn't mean you're going to be a great pro. It's not always about, and it's what Nick Sirianni's talked about. He wants to get guys who are going to fit, and they're going to fit. If a guy's played at Ball State or he's played at University of Buffalo or all these, not super high, exactly. Look at Josh Allen, Wyoming.
Bo Callahan.
So, right, but you look at Josh Allen.
No one got the reference.
You look at Josh Allen, and he is definitely on the uptick. But now that he's got that superior season, much like Carson Wentz did, where does he go? Does he continue his rise, or does he fall into the norm of these smaller schools and the drop-off?
What about Patrick Mahomes? Texas Tech.
Texas Tech is still a bigger school than North Dakota State and Wyoming.
All right, so we got a question for the panel here. We'll go Jeff, Johnny, Chip, and then I'll close it out. We got a question from Mustang3651, who does a great job for All About the Birds. He's part of the team. Devonta Smith, Horn, Surtain, Waddle are there at 12. Who's your number one choice?
Who's our number one choice, or who do you think the Eagles would take from that group?
All right, who do both? Who you would take personally, or who you think Howie would take out of those four? Jeff, you're first.
I would still go Devontae. Just
both answers.
I was
organization and you.
I would do, but let's be real. Howie will somehow take Waddle, which I feel he'll do. He's still a decent player, but let's be real. Howie will find some way to screw it up. But Devontae, he's just. I feel he doesn't get enough credit just because of his size, and I feel he plays bigger than what his size dictates. So Devontae, I feel, in my opinion, they definitely have to go, and especially Surtain and Horn are top cornerbacks, and the Eagles definitely need to address that position. But this draft, especially in the first couple rounds, the cornerback position is very deep. So I feel the Eagles will address that a little bit later on, where you're not going to get the type of playmaker that Devontae Smith brings in the later round of the draft.
Good point. Johnny, your thoughts on that question?
If Surtain is there, that is who I select. I don't think he will be, but if he is there, that's who I would select. And who I think they possibly would select, I would go on that Waddle. I think Waddle's the second best receiver in the draft. I think he's better than Smith. What he can do on an offense, how he runs the routes, and his speed, his blazing speed, what he can do on the field, I think outweighs how good Smith is. I understand Smith's numbers. I understand that. But for me as a player, as a full player, and what he could do in this offense, I think Waddle fits a lot better than Smith, in my opinion.
I would take Surtain before the number 11 pick was even finalized, if that's the situation. I would be doing a Vikings laughing all the way to the call to the commissioner. But the Eagles would take Devontae Smith in that because he's got the Heisman Trophy. He's got the Alabama connection. He would take Devontae Smith.
I agree with you guys. I think that Surtain, hands down, if any of those four are available, Surtain is definitely the one I would take. But I actually agree. I think Waddle is who they would take. I think Smith is going to be a better wide receiver if he stays healthy than Waddle. But I think the Eagles will see Waddle and be like, look at this guy. He might have been injured. His numbers would be better if he wasn't injured there towards the end of his season there. But I think they would take Waddle. But I think Surtain is clearly the best player of those four and has the highest, not just the best player immediately, but the highest upside of all four of those players.
Yeah, here's something that I relied a lot on today was the draft tracker on NFL.com, and they have Devontae Smith ranked as the number 3 potential prospect overall. So it goes Lawrence is the number 1 prospect, so they're real high on him. Kyle Pitts, Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, Patrick Surtain, Micah Parsons, and then Waddle.
I don't know if you know the answer to this question, Johnny. It's something maybe to research and maybe put out there on Twitter tomorrow and all. We're talking about Smith versus Waddle, and like I'm higher on Smith, some are higher on Waddle. Waddle missed quite a bit of games last year, right? I forget how many games he missed.
He had an ankle injury.
Yeah, he missed quite a bit of time last year. I would like to see a comparison of stats when they're playing together versus, Devontae Smith,
Last year, Jalen Waddle played 6 games. Mm-hmm. In those 6 games, so basically half of a season, they usually play around 12 games, give or take. He had 28 catches, 591 yards, 4 touchdowns, 21.1 yards per catch.
So just over 4 catches a game he had.
Yeah. So you have to also look at what their offense is and everything too, and who else they have on the field. Because he had over 800 yards his freshman year. Mm-hmm. And his freshman year was 2 years ago. And they also had Jerry Jeudy. They had Henry Ruggs. There's a lot of talent that they had on the roster still, and he still made that kind of – to me, you can look at the stats, but again, you can't focus on stats.
Jennifer, you fucked it up.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't know what that means, but I say who?
I love the enthusiasm, sweetie, but it's Vontae Mack or – fuck, now I'm forgetting. Vontae Mack no matter what. Draft day. Phil, if you never watched the movie.
No.
What?
Why would I watch a stupid movie like that?
It was a little bit overrated.
It was awful from what I read.
Wait, I want to tie back for a second because I don't want to go off the track here. This is my issue with Mac Jones, right? Mac Jones is being hyped as somebody. I can guarantee you that at no point before the season ended, anyone was thinking first-round pick Mac Jones. However, he was throwing to Devontae Smith. He was throwing to Jalen Waddle. He had absolute monster wide receivers at Alabama. So now all of a sudden he could go as high as 3. Like quarterback rankings. Same thing. Tua had numbers that weren't fantastic, but he goes all the way to the Dolphins. Quarterback numbers get inflated leading up to a draft. From the time the season ends to the time of the draft, the numbers get inflated. And that's why you see so many first-round busts, because they were never supposed to be there.
So to finish this out, I want to just say this one quick you looked at almost 4 catches a game and everything. The Tennessee game and the Ohio State game was the bowl game that he played hurt. The Tennessee game is when he got hurt. The 4 games before that, he had 8 catches, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 catches, 142 yards, 6 catches, 120 yards, 6 catches, 161 yards. So it's not like he was putting up not many numbers at all. They took you take those other 2 games out. He's super productive. It's not like he's, leaps and bounds better than Devontae Smith. I'm not saying that, but I just think Jalen Waddle is going to be a better pro, and that's why I have him number 2, in my opinion. Real
quick, we're going to answer one more question from our boy Mustaine here. All right, we want quick answers because we're well over it, okay? I'm going to tweak his question here a little bit. Everybody give a quick answer, okay? How much would you trade and how far up would you trade to get Surtain to be your number 2, future number 1 cornerback on this team? Chip, you need a second based off of that facial expression.
No, I don't.
No. Johnny goes for your facial expression said you need a second. Johnny gets to go first. How much would you trade and how far up would you trade to get Patrick Surtain?
I wouldn't give up a first, but I would try and get ahead of the Cowboys. So
would you give up 70?
I'd give up 70.
Would you give up 80, whatever it is, 84 and Ertz?
Yeah.
Okay. And would you be very happy with that decision?
Oh, absolutely.
Jeffrey? Johnny, so I'm making Chip just like squirm right there by passing over him. Nope.
I love Surtain, and I would say he's playing against one of the top wide receivers in practice with Waddle and Smith, but probably the 3rd rounder, and I would say probably maybe only a 4th rounder, trade up from 12 to 9, like you said, in front of the Cowboys and Giants.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about George's thoughts on Ertz. We know George. You think he's going to get cut, and
he's gone. He's gone.
He's gone no matter what. I muted Chip for a second, but I'm going to go in front of Chip here just for a second. I'm giving up. Literally, I'll move up to 7 if I have to with Detroit to get Surtain. I mean, if I'm not getting Micah Parsons, which the Eagles are not drafting a first-round linebacker, we know that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I'm literally giving up 70 in Ertz if I have to. I want a stud defensive player with the first pick. I know it's not going to happen. And pay, Conway Twitty, whatever his name is not a stud, instant impact defensive player. So, yeah, Chip, I've let you stew. Johnny, do you have anything to say before Chip answers? Yeah. Go.
Here's what I'm going to say. First off, there is absolutely no trade value for Zach Ertz. We have learned that there is no trade value for Zach Ertz.
It's a pot sweetener at
right.
best.
So any logic that Zach Ertz gets you back into the top 10 is absolutely asinine, and you know nothing about football. So that's number 1. Number 2.
Wow, that's harsh.
Yeah, Zach Ertz has until it happens, and then you can also realize that whoever Howie fleeced to get his Ertz back into the top 10. Yeah. My other issue is that if they decided to go from 6 to 12 to then have to trade to get back in because Surtain could have still been available at 6. So there makes absolutely no sense.
The trade back got you a first.
I know.
Year. The trade back up to 7, 8, and 9, you give up a 3rd. So you basically traded back to 9 and gave up a 3rd-round pick and gained a 1st. So I don't understand that argument.
Here's my thing. There was if Surtain was your guy.
Be quick.
Uh-oh.
I know.
We've got a draft board here. We can't see the draft board, Johnny. You don't have it in front of the camera.
If Surtain was always going to be your guy, and he should be, he's fantastic, then there's no reason to trade. However, I know you get a 1st next year. I would try to get him back into the top 10. I would try to get back into the top 10 because you're going to have to. But you also don't want to dip into what you have next year in the 1st round. Those 3 first-round picks, you need to keep them.
Yep. You're not going to have to dip into those first rounds to move up on draft day. And he's not the voice of reason, George. No way. All right. Anybody got anything else to say before we wrap this shabacle up here tonight?
Yes. Oh, what the hell? Those are all numbers.
Johnny, hold on. Johnny, give me 1 second.
You're getting spotlighted.
Yeah, you're getting spotlighted here, Johnny. Yeah.
Do it.
Put that back up there. Exactly. Again, I think I've agreed with Johnny more tonight than I have in the last year of this podcast, which, again, everybody, thank you. This week marked the 1-year anniversary of the All About the Birds podcast network. Literally 1 year ago this week, we did our draft recap. Me and Johnny, we're the OG. We're the OG too. Okay, we were on the first episode only. Okay, Jeff, he missed the first week because he was a slacker. I can't help that.
It's the first episode. We did this, but then we did the next round the next night.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You missed the first episode, Jeff.
I did.
All right, Chip came along late to the party, but again, thank you everybody so much for tuning in. 1 year of us bullshitting on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all these different networks that we're on. Man, who would have thought that? Thank God we all live so far apart from each other. Otherwise, we would have all killed each other by now.
For sure.
If we were in the same studio, there'd be things thrown at each other. It would have been a total disaster. But if I knew how to do graphics, I would have like a big celebration graphic going up. I don't. But I want to thank Johnny, super, super large amount, because Johnny messaged me like a week before the first episode, 3 days before the episode. I never met these guys, and I'm so happy to join this team, and I know these guys agree with me. This is so much fun.
Because it was going to be just Jeff and I, but Jeff could not, and I needed to find somebody, and that's why I went to you.
Well,
you were the second option,
Phil. One of my biggest Twitter trolls / fans, Mikey Mack, was going to be on one of your episodes to start it, and he bailed on you. If Mikey Mack, I doubt Mikey Mack watches, but if Mikey Mack's watching, you bailed on them, and look what we've turned into. It got me in. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Love you, Mikey Mack. Yeah. Mickey Moniak is still going to be a good player, Mikey Mack, just so you know.
Yep.
That's a whole nother subject that's where our fights start and end always with Mickey Moniak. Again, Chip.
On a different note, I want to add the positivity thing here. So next week, and I know we've talked about my friend, my coworker, Don Conaway, a ton on this program.
Mm-hmm.
We know that he won in the month of March. However, next week, 1 week only, he is going up against the teacher of the month from Edmonton and the teacher of the month from Schittsburg. Therefore, for 1 week, that is Schittsburg, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
I think they said shit.
That's what I heard too, Jeff.
I did. Schittsburg, like Pittsburgh, but it's full of shit.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So anyway, next week, it's 1 week for an additional $20,000. We're going to promote it on Chips and Dish. We're going to promote it on Fairway to Heaven. We're going to promote it. We're going to promote it all damn week long. But please, please, please vote next week.
Absolutely. Love that. It was so great to get to talk to Don after the Chips and Dish episode this week. Just again, throw out the love. I love what you teachers, you guys have had it. You always have it tough. But this past year has been 10 times tougher than you normally have it. So everybody's had it tough in the past year, but teachers definitely have had a rough go of it the past year. Loads of love to Don, loads of love to Chip, preparing the future generations for podcasts, right?
Mm-hmm. They let me talk to children, y'all.
You're responsible for the future of this country, and that's a problem. But Don, I'm okay with Don being responsible for the future of the country. All right, anyway, great. Again, thank you, everybody. 1 year, balloons going off, fireworks going off. It's been a blast doing this for a year. We started with the post-draft last year. 1 year wraps up with the pre-draft this year. It's been awesome. Jeff, Johnny, any parting comments before we wrap this up on 1 year?
Keep on plugging, keep on following. Another year, too, even bigger and better.
That's right. I like that.
Let's go.
What's that?
Year 2, let's go.
Year 2, let's go. We continue to set the trends, right, Johnny? And we continue now to set the standards. It's what we do here. I wasn't prepared for that. That kind of came off the top. Hold on. Here we go. Like I said, we continue to. I'm really bad with these things off the side. We got so many graphics on here right now because Jeff put all the things in the overlay section. We continue to set the trends here at All About the Birds. That's what we do. Again, got to thank all our sponsors, Hemp Bombs, Statement Games, Manscaped. We got the new sponsors, Odds Jam, There's so many great sponsors that help us out. We've got our great site where all our 99 jerseys, forgot about them. Sorry, my bad on 99 jerseys. But the shop store, aatbirds.com/shop. To all my golf fans, there's a new 5th place Finau shirt coming out tomorrow. Make sure you check that out. We got great stuff. We'll be live tomorrow night, right, Chip? 8 p.m. right here on all the networks, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Be live breaking down each pick. Then, what is it, Sunday? Are you guys doing your post-draft recap, Johnny?
Yeah, we're going to be doing Sunday, kind of going over. We're not going to go over every pick. We're just going to go on some of the first-round stuff. It should be a fun-filled packed show. It's going to be our last live show.
What's that?
It's going to be our last live show before we start doing our YouTube exclusives.
Sounds good. So make sure you're subscribing on YouTube. All About the Birds Network on YouTube. You guys subscribe. We got lots of YouTube exclusive content only on there. Monday, I'm sure Chips and Dish will be breaking down the draft as well. Plus anything happening in Sixers and Phillies country.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe we're coming up on the NBA playoffs, so I may have a couple guests talking about what's going to happen as the bracket shapes out.
And Fairway to Heaven on Tuesday night, we got another special guest still working to get the confirmation. This past week we had Chad Eckert on the show. We'll have another special guest next week as we get into the Wells Fargo next week. And then we'll be right back here next Wednesday with the big recap of the Eagles and everything. We might touch on some of the 53-man roster predictions based off of the draft.
Let's hope not.
I know. Dear God.
And then Friday, potential undrafted free agents and ones that they might sign. We got lots to talk about next week. The Eagles just always give us content, you know. And then hold on, I saw Peanut's name pop up. Of course,
he'll be texting you till 1:00 tonight.
I get message. It's a good thing my phone goes on mute at 11:00 every night because I can't get his messages at 2 a.m.
Watch Peanut get trashed the night after the first round.
Peanut, Party Doll Dave.
I forgot him. He's over in the corner.
Birds, Beer, and BS. I really want someday when we
Party
go live
Doll Dave is under the desk of Jeff Warner.
Wow. It's 10:37. I guess it's okay to say that. All right. We got it. Yeah. All right. Anybody?
Oh, God.
Kip, you ready to play this show off?
I've been ready.
All right. Hey,
I've been ready.
Night,
your phone shuts off at 11, but you've been wrapping up for 20 minutes.
PM. Guys, don't miss out on the draft show tomorrow night. We'll be live as we end every show. Go Birds.
Go
Dear
Birds.
God, go Birds. Support for All About the Birds is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for our listeners, 20% off plus free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. Manscaped hooked us up with a bunch of tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0 kit, including the Lawnmower 3.0, which comes with an LED light for a more precise shave and is waterproof to make your shower shave clean and easy. The Perfect Package also includes a deodorant for your undercarriage to prevent odors and chafing, a reviving lotion, a pair of boxers and a t-shirt, not to mention a travel bag to store all your grooming goodies. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code AATBirds. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.